Hello, I'm Avery Martin, 29 years old, fresh off a flight from Frankfurt where I closed the biggest deal of my career. But when I pulled into my parents' driveway, expecting to collect my black Dodge Challenger, the garage door lifted to nothing but empty space. My dream car, gone. And waiting inside the kitchen, my parents and sister sat at the table like judges. What they confessed would shatter more than trust. It would rewrite what family meant. And that was only the beginning of the betrayal. 6 years of 70-hour weeks had built that car. Every late night at Bridgewater, every skipped vacation, every whispered promise to myself that someday it would all be worth it. They lived in that Challenger's rumble. I could still see Grandpa's weathered hands, guiding mine over a friend's engine when I was 9. "These machines aren't just transportation, Avery girl," he'd said. "They're dreams made solid." The day I finally signed the papers for my Challenger, tears blurred my vision as the keys hit my palm. But in my family, my dreams had always been disposable. Kendra's 16th birthday? A garden party with 40 guests, a professional photographer, and a cake taller than she was. My 16th? I was working at the mall, saving for college application fees, while Mom promised we'll celebrate another time. At Kendra's graduation, Dad rented a limousine. Mine? Empty seats in the audience, their canceled flight excuse crumbling when they showed up the very next day for Kendra's dance recital. Christmas 2018, Kendra stood beside a red Volkswagen with a bow. My gift? A department store sweater. Smile tight on my lips for the camera. It wasn't subtle favoritism. It was a pattern. Their resources, their pride, their attention. It always flowed to her. I was the responsible one. The safety net. The girl who could figure it out. And now the Challenger, the one thing that proved my sacrifices mattered, had been pawned off without a word. Mom's defense still rings in my ears. Family helps family. You make plenty of money. As if my hours, my health, my sanity were just collateral for Kendra's next dream. As if the title in my desk drawer and the keys I cherished were nothing more than community property. The bitter laugh that escaped me that night wasn't amusement. It was grief, sharp and cutting. For every milestone stolen, every sacrifice dismissed. And then I saw the forged signature that proved just how deep the betrayal ran. The pawn shop smelled like desperation and cheap air freshener. I straightened my blazer, trying to look like a woman who belonged there, rather than one whose world was collapsing. "Miss Martin?" The broker, Gordon, slid paperwork across the counter. "Your vehicle was brought in 5 days ago. Loan amount $45,000 plus fees." I scanned the page. $3,000 in fees. Predatory terms disguised as policy. But what stopped me cold was the signature. My name written in a hand that wasn't mine. Close, but wrong. No upward curve on the last N, no tiny flourish I'd added since high school. Forgery. Clear as day. I pulled out my license, my work contract. "Compare them," I said evenly. Gordon's face tightened. "I'll need to speak with my manager." Minutes later, the manager admitted what my gut already knew. My parents hadn't just betrayed me. They'd committed fraud. Criminal fraud. The kind people go to jail for. They offered to file a police report on the spot. I shook my head, throat tight. Not yet. I needed to think, to plan. Back at my apartment, I pulled a dusty album from the shelf. Plastic sleeves crinkled as I flipped through the years. Kendra's 16th, her graduation, her car with the red bow. Page after page of proof. They had always celebrated her, and always left me with scraps. My phone rang. Uncle Harvey's voice cut through. "Your mother called me, trying to spin it. Don't buy it, Avery. What they did is wrong." Relief pricked my eyes. Someone saw the truth. Minutes later, Aunt Patricia called. They just wanted to help Kendra succeed. "Can't you show some compassion?" I hung up before my rage spilled over. The next morning, I texted Kendra. Coffee, noon, just us. She was already there, sunglasses hiding her swollen eyes. "Let me see the business plan," I said. "What?" "The plan. Projections, strategy. Any documents a real startup would have." She fidgeted, then pulled a mood board. A list of potential names. Sketches of packaging on printer paper. No supplier contracts. No financial model. No formula beyond a kitchen experiment. "This is it?" My voice dropped low. "This is what you stole my car for?" Her shoulders slumped. "I just wanted a chance to prove myself. Everyone compares me to you. Successful, responsible, the one I'll never measure up to." Her voice cracked. "The first shipment arrived yesterday. Half the containers cracked. The formula separates after hours. Customers are already complaining." She looked at me desperately. "I just need a little more money. Please, Avery. You'll get it back with interest." I set my phone face down on the table, ignoring the buzz of her follow-up text. Not a penny more. If she wanted to build something, She'd have to do it without stealing from me. But the clock was still ticking. 30 days until my car would be gone forever. And when the family gathered again, the confrontation turned explosive. Sunday smelled like pot roast and dread. I parked at the curb, refusing to pull into the driveway like nothing had happened. Inside, Mom set the good china, the plates reserved for Christmas and crises. Dad sat heavy at the table, his shoulders sagging under invisible weight. Kendra arrived late, sunglasses hiding eyes swollen from crying. We ate in silence. The scrape of forks against porcelain was louder than any words. Mom broke first. "Kendra's having a difficult time," she said softly, patting her daughter's hand. "Everyone fails sometimes." "This isn't about failure," I snapped. "It's about theft. You didn't just take a car. You took everything it represented." Dad's voice, rough with shame, finally cut through. "We thought we were helping. We wanted Kendra to have her chance. At my expense?" The words sliced sharper than I intended. "You didn't just betray me. You erased 6 years of sacrifice, Grandpa's legacy, everything." Mom's lips parted, but before she could argue, the doorbell rang. Relief flickered across her face, until Dad returned with Uncle Harvey in tow. "What the hell were you thinking, Gerald?" Harvey's voice thundered. "This isn't helping your daughter. It's destroying her." He sat beside me, his presence solid, immovable. "Someone needs to speak for Avery. You've thrown her under the bus long enough." Dad's jaw clenched. "This is a family matter." "Exactly," Harvey shot back. "That's why I'm here." I reached for my briefcase, the folder I'd prepared waiting like a weapon. I laid 3 documents on the table: vehicle title, fraud statutes, sentencing guidelines. "This is a felony," I said, tapping the page. 2 to 5 years for title fraud. Restitution required. Prison time. Mom's face drained of color. "You wouldn't—" "I don't want to," I admitted. "But you need to understand. This isn't just a mistake. This is a crime." For the first time, Dad really looked at the papers. His weathered hands trembled as he read. "What have we done?" he whispered. "To her, to ourselves?" Beside him, Mom collapsed into ragged sobs. Not the manipulative tears I'd grown used to, but guttural, broken cries that shook her shoulders. Kendra tore off her sunglasses. "This is my fault," she blurted. I pushed them to do it. I convinced them it was temporary. I thought once my business took off, Avery would understand. I never thought it would collapse so fast. Her voice cracked as her manicured nails dug into her palms. "I didn't just ruin my business. I ruined us." Harvey's voice cut through the silence. "So what's the plan?" "Because Cornerstone Pawn isn't waiting forever." I steadied my breath. 25 days until auction. The words dropped like stones in the room. And with the clock ticking, we had to decide how far each of us would go to save what was left. The math was brutal. Even if Dad's home equity loan cleared in 2 weeks, we'd still be short. The pawn shop demanded $15,000 immediately, just to delay the auction. So we scrambled. Kendra carried her Hermes scarves to a boutique, watching 8,000 shrink across the counter. Her pride evaporated with every silk piece surrendered. Dad shuffled into his manager's office, asking for night shifts his knees could barely handle. "Gerald, you haven't worked nights in 20 years, the man said, eyebrows raised. "Just temporarily," Dad muttered. "The differential pay will help." At home, Mom wrapped heirloom candlesticks in tissue, her hands trembling. Pieces that had survived the depression, now pawned for $3,000. She wept quietly as the broker wrote the check. I worked too, picking up extra accounts, chasing performance bonuses that suddenly meant survival. Every spreadsheet felt heavier, each number a lifeline toward the challenger. Jessica found me at my desk late one night. "Operation Financial Freedom?" she teased, eyeing the deposit receipt from Cornerstone Pawn. I forced a smile, exhaustion etched on my face. Still, progress came. 15,000 scraped together, enough to halt the auction clock. But the relief lasted only days. "Another buyer is interested," Gordon called flatly. "Cash offer, first money in gets the car." Panic churned through me. We were still 3,000 short. Mom whispered, "It's not enough." Dad slammed his palm against the table. "There has to be a way." The doorbell rang. Uncle Harvey stood there, checkbook in hand. "Family helps family," he said, echoing Mom's earlier words, but with an entirely different weight. His 5,000 pushed us over the line. The next morning, we crowded into the bank, watching the digital clock tick toward noon. At 11:42, the confirmation appeared. Payment received. Auction canceled. Relief broke over us like a wave. 30 days of selling, scraping, begging, and somehow we'd done it. I walked into Cornerstone Pawn, sweaty palm gripping the cashier's check. The broker slid my title and keys across the counter. "All square," he said. My hands trembled around the metal. The weight of the key felt foreign, like holding a piece of myself. I thought I'd lost forever. Outside, the Challenger gleamed in the sunlight, black paint flawless, chrome trim catching fire. They'd detailed it yesterday. It looked untouched, as if betrayal hadn't carved scars into its history. The engine roared when I turned the key. It should have felt triumphant. Instead, hollow victory coated my tongue. Because this was never just about a car. It was about what my family thought of me, and no amount of chrome could shine over that truth. Bringing the Challenger home didn't erase the betrayal waiting at Sunday dinner. 3 days after reclaiming the Challenger, Mom's text buzzed across my phone. Sunday dinner, 5 o'clock. Your father's grilling steaks. The invitation felt heavy, but I typed back a simple "I'll be there." Dinner was silence wrapped in small talk. Potatoes passed, weather mentioned. Nobody dared speak the truth until Dad set his fork down. He unfolded a paper, hands trembling. "I betrayed your trust," he read. "I violated your rights. I failed as your father." His eyes finally met mine. For the first time, they didn't look away. Mom reached across the table, tears cutting down her cheeks. "Please forgive us, sweetheart. We were wrong." Kendra spoke next, her notebook shaking in her hands. "I've made a budget. I'll pay back my share. It will take years, but every penny will be returned." I set my napkin down slowly. Healing takes time. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. The air shifted. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the willingness to try. A week later, I sat with Rachel, the lawyer whose card I'd carried for weeks. "You have a strong criminal case," she said. "Title fraud, identity theft. Your parents could go to prison. What are my other options?" I asked. She slid a document across the desk. A repayment agreement, legally binding. No jail, but enforceable. The following Sunday, my parents and Kendra signed the contracts. Monthly payments, 2 years, interest included. Their eyes stayed on the paper. But the shift was clear. For once, my boundaries weren't negotiable. They were law. Uncle Harvey walked me out. "Sometimes respect has to be enforced before it can be freely given," he said, squeezing my shoulder. Weeks later, I steered the Challenger through the Colorado Rockies. Windows down, mountain air rushing in, Grandpa's voice echoed in my memory. "Cars are just metal and chrome. It's what they represent that matters." Now I understood. This wasn't about horsepower or paint. It was about my worth, about proving my dreams weren't disposable. The road curved open ahead, golden light spilling across the hood. For the first time, I felt not just like an owner, but like a woman who finally claimed her place. If you've ever had to fight for respect, from family, from anyone, know this, you're not alone. Share your story below, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys of betrayal, survival, and empowerment.